Assalamu alaikum. Here our topic of discussion is paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. Paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria is basically a misnomer because this disease is not paroxysmal, but it is a chronic disease with acute exacerbations. Then nocturnal is also a misnomer because in many patients it is not only occurring at night but continues during the day. And the word hemoglobinuria is also a misnomer because in such a patient there is not only excessive breakdown of red blood cells but there is also excessive breakdown of the platelets and the WBCs. Classically, in only about 25% of the patients, the disease is actually paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. These patients produce dark color or Coca-Cola colored urine. Now let us start the disease from the molecular level. This is the bone marrow house, and in the bone marrow house we have the hematopoietic stem cell. From hematopoietic stem cell there are two lineages. Number one, we have lymphoid stem cell, and then we have the myeloid stem cell. Now from lymphoid stem cell is responsible for the formation of beta B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, and natural killer cells. And the myeloid stem cell produces red blood cells, platelets, and all other white blood cells other than these lymphocytes. Now in paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, the problem is basically with this myeloid stem cell. It is a disease associated with this myeloid stem cell. Okay. Paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria is a disease which is not acquired, but it is not inherited. It is an acquired disorder. Mutations occur in the myeloid stem cell, and as it is required, it may occur due to some radiations, or it may occur due to some drugs. Now, this is a myeloid stem cell. Let us consider this is a myeloid stem cell of a female. So, as we know that this is a myeloid stem cell of female, so there are two X chromosomes. Now we know that at one time one X chromosome is active. So this second X chromosome is inactive and it is converted into Barr body. Now we will consider only this one X chromosome. On the X chromosome there is a gene which is known as PIGA gene. The word PIGA stands for phosphatidyl inositol glycan class A gene. So on X chromosome we have PIGA gene. I have made this pig shaped. So on X chromosome we have PIGA gene, and this PIGA gene is responsible for the production of a protein called PIGA protein. This is phosphatidyl inositol glycan class A protein. This protein is responsible for the formation of membrane phospholipids. Now these are the membrane phospholipids which are formed by this PIGA protein, and they are attaching themselves to the cell membrane of the myeloid stem cell. These phospholipid molecules which are made by PIGA protein are known as GPIs, glycosyl phosphatidyl inositol. Okay, so these are GPIs, glycosyl phosphatidyl inositol phospholipids, which are attaching themselves to the cell membrane of the myeloid stem cell. Now these GPI molecules are responsible for anchoring specialized proteins. Here we can see that they have anchored a protein. This is a sunflower shaped protein, and they have anchored this protein. This is known as GPI linked protein or PIGA tailed protein. Because it is linked to two GPI molecules, so we will call it GPI linked protein or PIGA tailed proteins. Now in the cell membrane of the myeloid stem cell we have two types of proteins, and proteins are anchored in two ways. Number one, we have integrated proteins. These integrated proteins are attached to the cell membrane of the myeloid stem cell in such a way that it is passing through and through. It has a hydrophobic part in between two hydrophilic parts, and this hydrophobic part passes through the cell membrane of the myeloid stem cell. So this is the integrated protein. And number two, we have anchored proteins which are anchored with GPI molecules, and they are known as GPI linked proteins or PIGA tailed proteins. Okay, now what is the function of this pig-tailed protein or GPI linked protein? This is a GPI linked protein, and actually it is a defensive protein, and it destroys the complement factors that try to attack the myeloid stem cell. This protein is also known as C8 binder. Now here we can see that this is a myeloid stem cell, and on the myeloid stem cell we have GPI molecules, and along with GPI molecules we have GPI linked protein. and this GPA linked protein is responsible for destroying the complements which are trying to attack the myeloid stem cell. Here it is destroying the C8 component of the complement system. Now these GPI molecules also bind with specialized proteins. Number one, they are binding with a protein called DAF, decaying activating factor. And number two, it binds with a protein called MIRL, membrane inhibitor of reactive lysis. These proteins increase the ability of the cell or ability of this GPA linked protein uh, and increase the rate of destruction of the complement system. Now this DAF protein, which is also known as decaying activating factor, is also known as CD55 protein. And this MIRL protein, membrane inhibitor of reactive lysis, is also known as CD59 protein. Okay. Now, as in this disease, paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, all the cells, red blood cells, platelets, and WBCs, except lymphocytes, which are derived from these myeloid stem cell, are loaded. Okay, it is here we are talking about normal condition. Normally, we know that we have myeloid stem cell, and this myeloid stem cell is containing a protein which is known as GPA linked protein or pigtailed protein. Now, all the cells which are derived from this myeloid stem cell, including red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, have this GPA linked protein on them. Now, what happens in a patient who is suffering from paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria? In such a person, there is loss of PIG-A gene, which is present on X chromosome. When there is no PIG-A gene, there is no PIG-A protein. And when there is no PIG-A protein, there is no formation of GPI molecules. So there is no attachment of pigtailed proteins or GPI linked proteins to the GPI molecules. It happens in all the cells which are derived from the defective myeloid stem cell. Now these cells are defenseless against the inappropriate attacks of the immune system. In these patients, some of the cells are normal that are derived from the normal myeloid cells, because all the myeloid cells are not defective at the same time. Some myeloid cells are defective and some myeloid cells are normal. So such a person will be having normal cells as well as abnormal cells. So we can say that these patients have hematological chimera. Chimera means mix, because some cells are normal and some cells are defective. Okay. In normal person, these abnormal clone cells are in very small number, that they are insignificant. But in a patient with paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, there is clone expansion. Now, how the clone expands? That the question is that how paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria takes place, because some abnormal myeloid cells are also present in a normal person. Then what is the difference between a normal person and a person who is suffering from paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria? The latest theory says that paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria is somehow associated with aplastic anemia, in which there is formation of autoreactive T cells. So, in paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, when there is formation of autoreactive T cells, then these autoreactive T cells destroy the normal myeloid cells, which are loaded with pigtailed proteins. So, only abnormal myeloid cells are left behind. In this way, such a person will be having abnormal cells in the blood, and normal cells are automatically not formed because normal myeloid cells are destroyed. And there is no defense mechanism in these cells against the inappropriate attacks of the complement system. Now what happens when complement system attacks the cells? When complement system attack the red blood cells, then these red blood cells are destroyed in circulation and there is intravascular hemolysis. So such a patient will be having chronic hemolysis, and there is especially increase in hemolysis at night. So when there is increased hemolysis at night and a lot of red blood cells are destroyed, so there is decrease in the oxygen saturation. The person will be having shallow breathing, and there is increased carbon dioxide retained in the red blood cells. So there is decrease in the pH. When there is decrease in the pH of the blood because of excessive retention of carbon dioxide due to shallow breathing, there is increased activation of the complement system, especially via the alternate pathway. So when there is excessive activation of the complement system and red blood cells are not having any protection against this complement attack, a lot of red blood cells are being destroyed and toxic hemoglobin is being released. Now this toxic hemoglobin can leak in the nephron, and after leaking in the nephron it appears in the urine. So especially early in the morning, the urine of such a patient is very dark in color and it is known as Coca-Cola urine, or so this disease is known as paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria. Now in the blood of the patient there is increase in the free hemoglobin because there is a lot of hemolysis and a lot of hemoglobin is being released. When there a lot of hemoglobin is being released, it binds with haptoglobin and there is decrease in haptoglobin, which is a protein released from liver in the blood. Then due to excessive hemolysis there is also increase in the lactate dehydrogenase enzyme in the blood. Now what happens in the urine? In urine there is increased hemoglobinuria as well as increased hemosideриnuria. Hemosideриnuria means that iron is coming in the urine because iron is also a part of hemoglobin. Now, normally in our body, a lot of free nitric oxide is present in our blood, and this nitric oxide play a very important role in relaxing the smooth muscles, especially in relaxing the smooth muscles. Now, what happens in a person who is suffering from paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria? In a person who is suffering from paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, a lot of hemoglobin is present. Free hemoglobin is present. Now, this free hemoglobin quickly binds with nitric oxide. So, there is no nitric oxide available. So, there is no proper relaxation of the muscles. When there is no proper relaxation of the muscles, then there are certain problems which take place. Number one, GIT smooth muscles fail to relax and the person will be having abdominal cramps. Then in males there will be erectile dysfunction. Then there will be dysphagia and odynophagia, which is painful swallowing because there is no relaxation of the GIT smooth muscles. Then nitric oxide also plays an important role in keeping the platelets away from each other, and it decreases the tendency of platelets to aggregate. So there is decreased thrombotic tendency. Now when there is no free nitric oxide present, then thrombosis can take place. Especially thrombosis takes place in the hepatic vein. So there will be hepatomegaly and there will be abdominal ascites. Thrombosis can take place in many other veins other than the portal vein. It can take place in portal other than hepatic vein. It can take place in portal vein, in mesenteric veins, and many other veins of the central nervous system. Okay, now how can we diagnose the paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria? Previously there were two tests. Number one we have HAM test and second one we have sucrose hemolysis test. Now what happens in HAM test? In HAM test we take the blood of the patient and then we provide acidic pH. If the person is suffering from paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria, then on providing acidic pH there will be excessive hemolysis. In this we easily diagnose the patient who is suffering from paroxysmal nocturnal hemoglobinuria.